Call to order the New Kent County Board of Supervisors, February 10th, 2025, regular meeting to order. We have Reverend Les Venable from New Kent Christian Center with us tonight to lead us in the invocation and pledge. Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come and thank you for allowing the faith-based community to have a place in this governance and the helpfulness of the county. So very grateful to you all for that. Thank you very much. Will you all join me in a word of prayer? Gracious God, you have ordained some to leadership and ordered us to pray for them. So this day we thank you for those who accepted the responsibility of leadership in this county that we love, New Kent, Virginia. We thank you for your presence in this place and that your shadow of protection might linger over all those who are in power. Fill them with wisdom and justice and mercy as they make difficult decisions. May they trust in you completely, moment by moment, to keep them safe. Show them your grace and mercy when they find themselves in unsafe situations or when they face people who threaten to harm them. Keep them safe for the glory of your name. Lord God Almighty, I pray for a peaceful gathering that we might show our community leaders how much they are appreciated. May these brave men and women know that their God and their community supports them and cares for them. So give us ways to demonstrate our gratitude and thankfulness for their difficult sacrifices, not just today, but every day. So, Father, we are so blessed to have men and women who work diligently for our well-being, even when their decisions are difficult and often thankless. So help us to remember to thank them for their sacrifices and service to our community. May our prayers of gratitude touch heaven whenever we see or personally encounter our leaders. Give them the strength that you provide so that as they serve you, we'll be honored. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Reverend Venable, thank you very much for that inspirational prayer. It was very good. Ms. Watkins, will you call the roll?
Mr. Evelyn?
Here.
Mr. Moyer?
Here.
Ms. Pearson?
Here.
Mr. Steers?
Here.
And Ms. Stewart?
Here.
Welcome everyone here this evening and watching at home. Our first item this evening is the consent agenda. Any board members have any comments, questions, changes, concerns?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented and that it be made part of the record.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Any other discussion? Ms. Watkins, call the roll, please.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Next is citizens' comment period. Do we have anyone signed up tonight? Thank you. We have 2 people signed up tonight. When I call your name, as you come to the podium, state your name and address, and I think you all know what the procedure would be. All right. First is Ms. Ellen Davis.
Thank you. Ellen Davis, 7610 Davis Pond Road, Eltham, Virginia. I'm here representing tonight as a member of the Board of Directors for Arts Alive. And for our 2 new board members, Arts Alive is a group that came together 20 years ago with representatives from New Kent, King and Queen, King William, and West Point. And the idea was that we would bring the arts to the people and the people to the arts. We started out with our season subscribers, where we present really excellent Broadway quality shows to the public. During our last season, 31% of our season subscribers came from New Kent. We also do a visual arts workshop where local artists from the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts come and share their skills, their crafts. The first 2 of this year 50% of the attendees were from New Kent, and we have a solid group of folks from Brickshire that come just about every time. But I don't want to say it's what we're most proud of, but it's where I think we have the biggest impact, our summer camps. We offer 2 summer camps. One is an art camp where kids come and it's amazing what these children do in a week. The different mediums that they can explore, the different things they can learn to do, whether it's dance or cheering or mosaics or crocheting or sewing. 52% of our kids the last 2 years for the for the art camp have been from New Kent. And we have a waiting list. And if we had the energy and the manpower, we probably could do 2 weeks of camp. And we keep talking about that. We also have a Missoula camp, which is a drama camp. A professional group comes and works with these children again for a week on a play that they then do 2 performances of. And it's incredible what these kids do in a week. And again, 45% rather, of our Missoula camp actors were from New Kent. So we really feel like that we are reaching into New Kent and providing a very valuable and needed service. And one thing we try to do with your help and with the help of the other counties that support us is to keep this affordable. We offer scholarships for our camps through your funding, but also through individuals who maybe had children go through the camp, saw the value, and offer scholarships to folks and kids in New Kent. We don't want finances to ever be a reason why a child can't come to our camp. And we're going to be working with Bay Transit to see if we can work out some transportation issues to help get kids to the camp. We've been fortunate enough this year, I know a lot of you know Laura Richards, that since she has nothing else to do, she is our executive director, and Laura is just a powerhouse of new ideas and something we're also very excited about. We're starting our visual arts workshops on Saturdays and starting to gear those Saturday ones towards teenagers, middle schoolers, to that group of kids so that they can come out for the arts. So these are all the things that you help us do. You were generous to us last year and granted us $10,000, so we're asking for that again. And as you know, you then can apply to the Creative Community Partnership Grant, where we will get an additional $4,500 as a match. They won't give us the total amount, but they will give us $4,500. So that's what I'm here asking for. I hope you will see the value in Arts Alive and what it brings to the citizens of New Kent, but also what it brings to the citizens of the localities that have come together with us. So I will be delighted to answer any questions that you have.
I guess this is the presentation part, so I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Because Ms. Richards, I see is here with you, so I'll let it go on. You're going to do an annual report in a minute? Is that?
No, we were just here,
Could you come up to? Yeah.
We were just here asking. I didn't know there was an actual report. We did provide some information.
Yeah, we saw that. It was we got the
report.
report.
I didn't want to hold you guys up too long tonight.
Thank you.
And Ellen is a pro at this, so I'm here just kind of watching and learning.
Well, okay. Does any board members have any questions for Ms. Davis or Ms. Richards?
Yep. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Davis, thank you for the presentation. One of the first things I learned about when I was thinking about running for supervisor was Arts Alive from a couple of people in District 5. So I know that they're very appreciative. I don't think they attend the youth summer camps, but I think they maybe mentor some of the people that do. But just appreciation for, I think, something that we don't have a lot of in the area. So appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We're glad that people don't have to drive to Richmond or Williamsburg to get this. Like I said, we keep our prices as low as we possibly can.
Mr. Steers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to just say that we've always supported Arts Alive. Ever since I've been on this board, we've supported the board, your group and everything. And I just want to say that as long as Ellen Davis is involved in anything, it will be a success.
Thank you. You just want me to mash potatoes.
Mr. Chair. I'd just like to thank you for all your hard work. This is just a wonderful program. I did have a question. So we do apply for the grant then. Is that correct, Mr. Hathaway? The $4,500 grant, and that is the max that we can get to? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your new grandbaby.
Thank you. I don't know if I'd known. That could have been the presentation.
Yeah. Next signed up is former District 5 board member, Mr. Ray Davis. I don't know if you've been in a meeting one time since you've been on the board. Well, welcome back, and I'm glad to have one of my mentors here, along with Mr. Jimmy Burrell, they were my two mentors when I was on the board. So welcome back. Glad you're here.
Well, thank you. My name is Ray Davis, 7610 Davis Pond Road, West Point, Virginia. We live in New Kent with about 600 other West Point addresses. So, and she's a good cook, too. About 15 years ago, we had an overzealous director of planning that put us all on the map of all these different bicycle routes through the county. Yesterday, I just about hit one on 249, 2 miles east of here, where it goes down the hill and changes from 45 to 55. If there'd been a car in the other lane, that would have been it. Somebody, probably a bicycle, would have been in the ditch. But anyway, that's 15 plus years ago. Our roads haven't gotten any wider. We probably have, how many more houses than we had 15 years ago? 3,000, 4,000? At 10 trips a day is what VDOT calculates. And with 64 being the mess it is, 249 and 60 are going to be overrun this spring with bicycles. What I would like y'all to do is to ask VDOT if there is a logarithm for what goes on each road or how many can be on each road, because these back roads, especially some of our back roads, are just got a whole lot more mailboxes on them than they used to have. And somebody's going to get killed, and guess who? Who they're going to blame. So I think you ought to ask VDOT to not whatever they have to do to figure out how much traffic's on each road and whether anything needs to be changed. You can't make the roads wider. And the only bicycle path is from company number 1 to Providence Forge. It's the only bike path in the county. So for safety's sake, I think we ought to ask VDOT to look into this and see if anything can be done. Maybe they just need to cut down on the routes or something, but you've all seen them, 100 at a time come summertime, be coming through there, and somebody's going to get killed, and I hate to see it, but it's going to happen if we don't do something about it. So thank you, but have a good time. There is life after this.
Thank you. That closes the citizens' comment period. Next is our residency administrator's report. Mr. Webb.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Hathaway, Marshall Wynn with VDOT. This past month, we had 130 work orders, completed 134, had 1 call out. Been doing regular ordinary maintenance, pothole patching, ditching and shoulder repairs, pipe installs, cleaning and inspection, tree and brush removal and cleanup, sign repairs, and litter pickup. You've probably seen where we brined yesterday. We do have a predicted snowstorm starting tomorrow, and our crews will be We do have state force crews coming in at midnight tonight and full crews coming in at 4 a.m. in the morning. Full of snow is predicted. I only see a couple inches myself, but weatherman says more than that. Who knows what's going to happen? So, other than that, I don't have anything. I do have Philip Frazier is going to speak a little bit about the 249-64 interchange signal light and the upcoming parking ride at Bottoms Bridge. So, with that, Philip.
Good evening, Philip Frazier with VDOT. So like Marshall said, I'm going to briefly give you an update on the Park and Ride project. So that project was advertised last fall, and we received bids, I believe it was in December. The low bid was JL Kent. They will be getting started here in the spring. We have a pre-construction meeting coming up next week, which I've invited New Kent staff to attend from your planning group. So that's a good news story of a project that's getting ready to see dirt moving around. So maybe the more interesting project, the I-64 widening. I know that I talked to Mr. Moyer earlier last week about some of the issues. I've talked to Sheriff Bailey about some of the issues that we've experienced with incidents on 64 and the spillover traffic on 249 and Route 60. So I know that there was a large pileup a few weeks ago that led to a lot of traffic on 249, which was really exacerbated by a detection malfunction issue with the camera at the signal. I think it was only in service for about a week or so, and so the detection was not picking up that westbound or southbound traffic. So basically, if you're coming from the courthouse area heading towards 64, it was not picking them up. So what was happening was it was cycling or pinballing back and forth between the ramp traffic, folks coming off westbound 64, trying to make a left. So there's a cycle for that, and there's also a cycle for the northbound traffic to make a left to go back to 64 west. So it was ping-ponging between those two cycles and skipping the more predominant movement, which is the through movement, because you've had the spillover from 64 due to the incident. So that has since been rectified, and as far as I know, it should be operating pretty efficiently. So that's good news. The other thing that I want to mention, just segue into the incident issue. We know there's been incidents. We know that these crashes are continuing to gone from 2-3 car crashes to 4, 5, 6 car crashes. So what we're doing as a department is we're bringing in an expert in human factor, an engineer who experts in human factor, to try and analyze the work zone and see what other engineering improvements we can make to make the work zone safer. So that is an effort that we're undergoing for 64, as well as a couple other projects that we're experiencing similar issues across our district. So the last thing I'll mention is that there are 3 segments, GAP A, B, and C. A is the first one that went out to bid and is underway. C is the piece on the eastern end of the county that spans into James City County. That project is underway. Today we actually had the kickoff with the contractor for GAP B, which will be from the 215 to about the 223. So that project, it's obviously design build, so there's going to be a year-long design process before they actually get started with construction. But we are kind of at the point where all 3 segments are now officially underway. So,
Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. Moyer?
Philip, thanks for coming out, Mr. Frazier. We really appreciate it. And we'd mentioned about whether we could do a right turn on red.
Yeah, so I actually did investigate that. The purpose for the right turn on red restriction is to ensure that free-flowing left turn movement in the northbound direction, so coming from 60, we want to ensure that is uninterrupted, making that left turn movement onto 64 westbound. So that is why the right turn restriction is there, is to just prevent any kind of conflicts or any kind of queuing issues that we might experience going back towards 60. Yep.
Ms. Pearson?
I just want to thank you for getting ahead of the storm, putting out what's needed to be done. But I don't have anything else.
Ms. Steers?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys being here. About 3 weeks ago, they started to install the new traffic light at 155 Courthouse Road and 60, and they came out there and worked one day, and I haven't seen them in 3 weeks. Is there a hold up there, or
It's just the weather.
the weather?
Mr. Steer, yeah.
Okay.
They still have, the task order is out. They have till May. I think toward the end of May is supposed to be completed. So
Okay. All right.
you ought
Thank
to
you.
see some more movement pretty soon.
Also, could you possibly address what Mr. Davis just brought up a few minutes ago about these bicycles? I mean, I totally agree with him. I mean, when they repaved Highway 155 and they put a sign up there that says bicycles may use entire lane, I mean, I thought, first of all, I think you'd be crazy to be out on 155 on a bicycle to begin with. But why would you give them the whole lane?
Right.
I mean, I thought somewhere down the road I had heard that there's some of this is federal regulations that you have to have. Is that true or no?
I think that's something we'll have to take back and investigate. I honestly, I think there is legislation that allows for a bicyclist to use the lane, but I can't promise you that. So we'll take it back and we'll investigate.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for everything you do for us.
Ms. Stewart?
Just thank you for what you have done and what I'm sure you're going to do this week. A lot of appreciation. I had 0 complaints between last meeting and this meeting, so knock on wood and thank you. And my bike is stationary, so I'm not getting taken out that way. But just thank you guys.
You're smart.
You said, so you broke ground on Section B today?
No.
I mean, not broke ground, but you engineering.
So yeah,
design.
so it's design build. So what we do is we get to like a 30 to 40% plan design, and then we solicit bids for a design build team, which includes the construction crew and the designer. So they got it's actually Shirley and Dewberry, the same contractor that has Gap A. They won the bid on this one. So today was the kickoff for them to really just meet the team and begin their design.
How's the schedule looking on already on Gap A? Is it on schedule? Everything going on schedule?
Yes.
And as far as you see, this whole build out still being in?
I believe it was May of 2029.
May of-
Final completion.
That's
Gap B, and Gap B is the control.
That's it. That's the last one. Right. Okay. I have a lot of people asking all the time. Again, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next presentations. We already had the first one. Item 2 is consider exemption request of the Department of Public Utilities to Section 98-1069 of the New County Code to use chain link fencing. Principal Planner, Mr. Silva.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good evening, members of the board. Again, my name is Patrick Silva, Principal Planner with the Department of Community Development's Planning Division, here this evening to provide an overview of the exception request Mr. Chair just mentioned, made by the New Kent Department of Public Utilities pursuant to Section 98-1071 of the County Code to waive provisions which prohibit the use of chain link fencing in portions of properties located within the county's Commerce Corridor Overlay District. So this specific exemption request relates to a proposed construction of a new operations center for the Department of Public Utilities located at 7051 Poindexter Road, of which approximately 2/3 is located within the aforementioned overlay district. Proposed improvements associated with this new development include the construction of a new operations center building, a new warehouse building, a new curb cut to provide an additional southerly point of access to the site, as well as the partial replacement and relocation of existing chain link fencing at the site, and the installation of 2 new slidable security gates for each site entrance, which would also be made of chain link fencing. And those latter 2 elements are what trigger the need for the exception request. So in staff's analysis of the exception request, we did find that the proposed partial relocation and replacement of existing chain link fencing and the use of chain link security gates would successfully strike a delicate balance between meeting all of the exception criteria articulated in 98-1071 of the code, as well as meeting the applicant's need to provide adequate security measures for the new operations center, and thus recommended approval of the request to the Planning Commission, who subsequently at their January 21st meeting voted unanimously to forward a favorable recommendation of the request to the board regarding the exception request, with the added recommendation that the applicant provide additional screening for portions of the chain link fencing that is located in the commercial corridor district, Commerce Corridor Overlay District. But with that in mind, that is pretty much the long and short of it, but I'm available for any questions y'all might have.
Thank you. Board members have any questions for Mr. Silva?
No, I was going to ask you if you would repeat that, but no, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
If none, I'll.
Mr. Chair, you need a motion?
Yep.
I move to adopt Resolution R-05-25.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Any discussion? Ms. Watkins, will you poll the members?
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Sears?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Motion passed. Next, consideration of exemption from 91-126 of the New Kent County subdivision ordinance for the Adams Gammon Family Subdivision, Resolution R-06-25. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Again, Patrick Silva with the planning team here in New Kent County, providing an overview of the aforementioned exception request to the private roadway standards typically required of family subdivisions that involve 3 or more new lots. So specifically, Ms. Stafford, on behalf of the Adams and Gammon families, has requested an exception request to waive the provisions requiring the construction of a new permanent 50-foot deeded right-of-way constructed to public standards in association with a proposed family subdivision of tax maps 3-10 and 3-10E, located on Old Church Road and Steel Trap Road, respectively, both of which are zoned A1 agricultural. So while the final proposed configuration of the lots associated with the family subdivision requests are still being finalized, we have been working with the Adams and Gammon families over the last few months on the request, and they have conveyed their desire to execute the aforementioned family subdivision to create 8 new lots for their immediate family members. So all new lots are proposed to be individually accessed via new driveways accessing said lots directly from both Steel Trap and Old Church, respectively, and would be designed to allow for the safe passage of emergency vehicles to each of those lots. So as detailed in the memo for this docket item, the waiver request before you specifically includes exceptions to the road width requirement, surface treatment requirement, and 50-foot deeded right-of-way requirements that are typically required of a family subdivision that involves this number of lots. Just to speak a little to staff's consideration of the exception request, according to the 2023 VDOT traffic counts, unfortunately the 2024 ones won't be available till September, but Steel Trap Road and Old Church Road are both low traffic volume roads, and staff finds that the roads have sufficient capacity to accommodate the 8 new lots proposed as part of the family subdivision request. And staff's opinion is that the proposed driveways accessing those lots would not adversely affect the safety conditions in the vicinity of that proposed request. So again, ultimately, staff did recommend approval to the Planning Commission, who again at their January 21st meeting voted unanimously to forward a favorable recommendation along to the board. So with that in mind, that's about the long and short of it, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board members have any questions? I would like to say that I know the families very well, and they have been very appreciative of the support that staff has given them going through this process. I think they've been probably working on it for 10 to 15 years now, trying to get it done. But I did get a call from a couple family members saying they're appreciative of all the help and support to guide them through this process to get here. So just want to thank you for that. If there's no other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I move to consider Resolution R06-25.
In favor?
In favor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Any other discussion? Ms. Watkins, poll the members, please.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, Ms. Silver. Good. This was your first board meeting, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Congratulations. Good job. Yeah.
Yep, thanks very much. Look forward to meeting all of you who I haven't had the good fortune of meeting yet.
Welcome aboard. Next is the consideration of sponsorship requests for the Virginia Derby at Colonial Downs. Our Economic Development Director, Ms. Hurt.
Adjust the mic. All right, that's a hard act to follow. Mr. Chair, rest of the board, thank you for considering this request. The request before you is appropriation of budgeted funds for Economic Development Authority to sponsor the Virginia Derby at Colonial Downs on March 15th. We had the qualifier event for the Kentucky Derby announced during the festival racing event, which was late summer 2024. That had missed our appropriations for the previous budget. So we have not allocated any funds for that event as of yet. So this sponsorship would require additional appropriation. The source of funding is revenues received from Colonial Downs. And the suite would be used to invite economic development partners and potential business prospects. So we see this as a very targeted economic development event. I also wanted to mention that Richmond Region Tourism had requested to share the suite for the Virginia Derby. They have about $5,000 allocated for the event. All in, the county's contribution for the title sponsorship equals around $75,000 between the $62,500 and food and drinks for the event. So this contribution would be a fairly small fraction of our all-in cost for the title sponsorship. I do recommend that New Kent work with Richmond Region Tourism for upcoming Festival of Racing, Old Dominion Derby, which is the newly named Derby at the end of the racing season, when our teams can put together a cohesive plan. And for this event, I would recommend New Kent maintain our full title sponsorship for this marquee event on March 15th for the Virginia Derby.
Thank you, Ms. Hurt.
Yes.
Any board member have any comments, questions? Ms. Stewart?
Thank you, Ms. Hurt.
Yes.
And thank you for reaching out to Richmond Regional Tourism. I look forward to future conversations on that. But to confirm that this sponsorship does not cover the cost of alcohol, or does it?
Correct. Our EDA funds are used for that, not county funds.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I just have a question. What kind of advertising does this allot for us? Does it?
We get a full page ad within the booklet, within the program. So we do get that. We also get mentioned on ESPN, the Richmond ESPN radio. And when we go down to the winner's circle, as you might recall, they do, the ESPN has the interview of the title sponsors for each of the events before the race.
Okay.
So we get really good visibility.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring out that we do get some other things.
Absolutely.
Other than food and drink or whatever. Not drink, but
Yes.
that we do get other benefits.
Yes. Like Coke, right? Sodas. Yeah.
Mr. Steers?
Yes, Ms. Hurt, thank you for being here. And do you know about how many attendees would be coming from Richmond Tourism?
The request that we had was about 20 folks. When I calculate on a per number basis, if we look at the $5,000 versus the other amount, that would cover about 4 people. So the request that they usually have about 20 folks. Our suite will host 60.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
A little advertising for this will also be throughout the nation too, because we will be on simulcast for every place that has parimutuel betting, because it is a qualifier for the Kentucky Derby. It's one of the bigger it's a point qualifying. It's not necessarily that the winner of this goes, but more than likely the winner will have enough point because of this to be able to go to the Kentucky Derby. And right now, according to Dan at Colonial Downs, they're expecting up to 10,000 people. So it'll probably be the biggest event ever in New Kent. And so it is the only race that they will have general admission tickets. General admission tickets will be will be $5, and purely because to know the number of people that will be coming. And so the outside of the racetrack where grandstands are and things like that will be completely different for this, to hold this many people. There'll be tents and pavilions all over the place.
Yes.
So they're doing a lot of work right now to get ready for it.
A lot of eyes on
So
this.
all their employee parking will be at the high school for that day, and then they'll be shuttling them in. So, thank you, Lindsay. Ms. Hertz.
Mr. Chair, I had a question for you or Mr. Hathaway. Given the large number of folks that Mr. Moyer just mentioned, do we have a public safety plan to accommodate 10,000 guests in the county?
Yes, our sheriff and our fire chief is working closely with the Colonial Downs staff to plan for that event.
And then just last question, Mr. Chair, and I think maybe question or statement for either you or Mr. Hathaway. The title sponsorship, you said, gets us the winner's circle experience and all that. If we weren't the title sponsorship, on all these broadcasts, would they just say Colonial Downs in Virginia? Would they leave out the New Kent part?
I believe that would be
That's
the
correct.
case.
Yeah. Chief or Sheriff, do you want to address Ms. Stewart's kind of what y'all been doing with Colonial Downs?
I certainly can. We have already been working with Colonial Downs with their staff as far as the anticipated number that they have. We will also work with the state police as far as traffic design and how we're going to try to flow things, and certainly request the assistance of the state police to assist on the traffic side. And obviously it will require off-duty personnel from our department to assist with that as well.
And from the emergency management side and the fire rescue side, we have our typical EMS personnel. They're going to be on the track. They're going to be committed to the track. And then we have extra personnel. We have on the spectator side, we're going to be covering both sides of the spectators. We'll have one ambulance, I guess, where the security is, and one ambulance back on where the new tents will be this year. That's where maybe the target could be this year of where we get some activity there. But we have that, but also we're looking at, depending on if Colonial Downs opens it up for us or not, is we're going to have a emergency operations center up on the 5th floor, way up top, with some decision makers up there so that we can see the whole track to see what's going on. So, yeah, we're well involved in planning on that and moving forward in a good pace.
Thank you all. Any other comments, questions? I'll entertain a motion to appropriate funds.
Mr. Chairman, I move to appropriate $62,500 to the New Kent County Economic Development Authority from Colonial Downs revenue for the sponsorship of the 2025 Virginia Derby at the Colonial Downs Racetrack.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Any other discussion? Ms. Watkins, will you poll the members?
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson? Aye. Mr. Steers?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Motion passed. I'd just like to make a quick statement that, it is $62,000. Obviously, that is a large sum of money. But I think, if I'm correct, McIntyre, Mr. Hathaway, we're on track this year to generate about $14 million of revenue from Colonial Downs. So they have been a great partner. And we also, obviously, there is some legislation at the state that could be changing that. But I do know that I think all the board members have been in contact with our state representatives, and they are working extremely hard to keep fighting to keep that money here. I mean, to be honest with the people out there, we're obviously going to lose some, but I really feel like our state senator and our delegates are working real hard. So New Kent's going to be okay at the end of the day. But it's a large sum of money, so they've been good partners since they came on. So next is courthouse space needs assessment. Mr. Hathaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Before you is a proposal from Mosley Architects to perform a courthouse needs assessment that would involve working with the courthouse staff and looking at their 5, 10, and 20-year needs as far as space. This information is important for us as we look at the possibility of constructing a new courthouse facility, which has been requested by court staff. I've mentioned this project briefly at our last work session when I went over the capital improvement program, and I plan when I present my budget next month to talk about some funding options if you choose to move forward with the construction of a new courthouse. But even if we choose to move forward with the construction of the courthouse, the first step is to do a good assessment to determine what our needs are. And this study will do that. This study will let us know what size facility we need, how much land we need, what type of infrastructure we need to support that. All important information in putting together a request for proposals or invitation for bids if we decide to go to the next step as far as construction. The cost of this analysis is $37,764. I've spoken with various architectural firms. This is the best proposal that I've received as far as cost and as far as experience in working with courthouse facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Anybody have any questions, comments for Mr. Hathaway?
Mr. Chair, just a question on if we appropriate this, what's left in the contingency fund? Because it says it would come from the contingency line item.
I don't have that before you, but we haven't spent a lot of contingency funds this year. The adopted budget was $300,000 in our contingency fund, and I'm just roughing it right now. We may have spent about $30,000 or $40,000 thus far.
Any other comments? I know Mr. Hathaway and myself met with the judge. I think I mentioned that 3 or 4 months ago. Went around the courthouse, and obviously there are some needs there. So this will give us. I see Ms. Crump here, and this will give us some type of assessment where we can move forward. Get the idea what we need. So if there's no other comments.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Ms. Pearson.
To authorize the county administrator to execute the proposed work authorization from Mosley Architects to conduct a space needs assessment for the courthouse. I further move to appropriate funds from the reserve for contingency line item in the amount of $37,764 to fund the proposed assessment.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Any other discussion? Ms. Watkins, poll the members, please.
Mr. Moyer,
Aye.
Ms. Pearson,
Aye.
Mr. Steers,
Aye.
Ms. Stewart,
Aye.
and Mr. Evelyn.
Aye. Motion passed. Now we got into the public hearings section. It's after 6:30, so we can. Our first public hearing this evening is CUP-04-24, Resolution R03-25. Camco Properties LLC, Kratisha Thomas, on behalf of Camco Properties LLC, has requested a conditional use permit to operate an assembly hall event venue located approximately on 5 acres at 16305 New Kent Highway. Welcome back, Ms. Silva.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Again, for the final time this evening, Patrick Silva with New Kent County's planning team. As Mr. Evelyn mentioned, the CUP request before you this evening is one for an assembly hall/event venue at 16305 New Kent Highway on approximately 5 acres of that parcel, which is zoned A1 agricultural. So New Kent County zoning ordinance does require CUP approval for this type of use when it's located in the A1 zone, and the applicant has stated in their application narrative that they wish to utilize the property to host intimate gatherings, including weddings, birthday parties, garden parties, religious retreats, all of which would have a maximum attendee count of no more than 125 guests at any time. Now, the standards for review of conditional use permits are set forth in Section 98-744 of the New Kent County Code, which planning staff did evaluate the CUP request in relation to, and in addition, the CUP request itself was duly reviewed by all pertinent county agencies as well as VDOT. So included in your meeting packet are the comments staff received from the aforementioned reviewing agencies in relation to the request. But to speak a little bit about staff's evaluation, it was confirmed that the proposed use complies with the land uses and vision for this location by the comprehensive plan, which does designate this section of New Kent Highway as A1, and furthermore, finds that the operation of the use would not otherwise promote undue negative effects, including negative health and safety impacts and the general welfare of New Kent County residents. But in order to mitigate any potential impacts that may stem from the use's operation, staff did recommend a number of conditions of approval, including conditions meant to mitigate things like noise, traffic and parking impacts, as well as the general event operations. But, pursuant to those conditions contained in the staff report, staff ultimately did recommend approval of the request to the Planning Commission, who in turn recommend a unanimous recommendation of forwarding a favorable recommendation to the board at their meeting on January 21st. So again, subject to those conditions of approval as detailed within the staff report for the item, the Planning Commission did recommend approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have on this CUP.
I'll see if anybody signed up first, and did anybody sign up to speak on this public hearing? Okay, no one signed up, so I'll close this part of the public hearing. Anybody have any questions, comments? Ms. Steers?
No, I mean, Mr. Chairman, I certainly support it. I don't see anything that would keep me from having any heartburn over it. So I'm okay with it.
So I only have one question.
Yes, sir.
It says the Virginia Department of Health, they will be, I just had it here, with 50, they're saying the septic system is okay for up to 50 people. So they need to be contacted, or is that letter been received? Has the Department of Health given a recommendation, or?
So in talking with the Department of Health staff, they didn't have any reason to think there should be any issues. The septic permits are from the late 90s, I believe, for this property. So they just wanted to kind of work with the applicant to ensure that it would be adequate for occupant loads up to 50 individuals. But the applicant has indicated their intention to get portable sort of porta-john systems for the vast majority of events, and any that include attendees over 50. So the health department didn't indicate they have any cause for concern, but just to be doubly safe, recommended they confirm it was adequate to support the occupant loads up to 50.
Okay, because I see one of the conditions is adequate sewer and water supply. So, and that would, with the porta potties and stuff like those bigger events, I would take care of that.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Any other comment?
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion to adopt Resolution R-03-25?
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Ms. Watkins, poll the members, please.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Motion passed.
Thanks very much for your time.
Last public hearing this evening is FY 24-25 Budget Amendment, Colonial Downs Revenue Fund, Resolution R-04-25. Our Financial Directors, Mr. Lawrence.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The resolution you have before you is to amend the FY 24-25 budget by adopting $39,735,443.35 of Colonial Downs Fund's revenues held in the General Fund and the Capital Fund. As we've spoken about a couple times, this is for the creation of a special revenue fund to hold these Colonial Downs specific revenues. Section 15.2-2507 of the Code of Virginia provides that the locality may need to amend the budget, but requires a public hearing if it exceeds 1% of these expenditures. Quick reminder that all these funds are currently held by the county, no new revenues coming in. It's just a movement from two different locations to kind of streamline reporting and transparency kind of in our books. So happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Anybody have any questions? We were briefed over this in the work session, so I think it makes a lot of sense. So, anybody have any comments? I'll open the public hearing. Anyone signed up? I close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt Resolution R-04-25, amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget by approving the appropriation and transfer of $31,868,267.83 in restricted Colonial Down funds received in prior years from the Capital Fund and $7,867,175.52 from current year Colonial Downs revenue from the General Fund to the Colonial Downs Revenue Fund.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Any other discussion? If none, poll the members, please.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. Next is our elected officials reports. Ms. Stewart, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one note, Mr. Reimer and I, our District 5 school board member, are having our office hours on February 20th at 6 p.m. at Lucanos in Eltham. So if anyone here would like to come or anyone online would like to come, we would love to have you. And he and I will eat dinner after, but you don't have to eat dinner with us. You can just come and gripe to us if you want. But we will be there, and I'm always available by phone or email, especially this time of year. So look forward to seeing anyone.
Mr. Steers?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Last week I was honored to speak at the Ruritan Club here in New Kent County. It's a great group of folks, and they do a lot for the county, so I ask you if you're interested in joining a local club to look into the Ruritan Club. Also, last week I attended the ribbon cutting for VNG, Virginia Natural Gas Training Center that opened up on Jimmy Burrell Lane. And I went over there not only to enjoy the festivities, but also to get a chance to talk to the president and CEO to tell him that I'm not very happy with them not extending Virginia Natural Gas into the Brickshire community. So he's retiring, I believe, in June, and he said that his folks would be back in touch with us, sit down and discuss the possibility of doing that I've been trying to get done for 10 years. So never give up. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'm supposed to speak at the New Kent Veterans Group at Colonial Downs, but I'm not sure what the weather is going to be like, so that may not happen. But that's it. Thank you.
Ms. Pearson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are Heather Mae Dombrowski, the District 3 School Board Representative, and myself are having 2 office hours. You can choose from one or the other or come to both. The first one is February 18th from 5:30 to 7 at the Heritage Public Library, and the second one is March 18th from 5:30 to 7 at Fire Station number 5. Also, there's a ribbon cutting for pink confetti at the old New Kent Post Office on February 22nd from 11 to 2. That's going to be a really neat little business there for New Kent County. On March 1st is the New Kent Public Safety Gala. Of course, March 15th is the Virginia Derby. And May 31st this year is Relay for Life. This is an event that was very dear to Miss Page, and Miss Page's sister is heading that up, Sandy Page. She's in the audience tonight, and she's doing a fabulous job picking up the baton from Miss Page. So I hope you'll all come out to that. She told me tonight it's indoors. Last year it was so hot, and so it's going to be indoors at the New Kent High School this year. We're going to have a lot of vendors there and a silent auction, and I think Smoky Meadows Barbecue is going to be there and a couple other vendors. So I hope you'll come out to that. Thank you.
Mr. Moyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have what we call a sidewalk committee meeting every month on the third Tuesday of the month. This month it will be February 18th at 9 o'clock in the morning at the coffee shop at Journey Church. You're very willing and able to come out, enjoy some coffee, their pastries and that, and talk about anything to do with District 2 or the county. The other thing is I spoke at the Rotary Club last week, and if you're thinking of joining a really good club, that's a good club to join too, Ron. But they do a lot of things in the neighborhood, in the area too. Hopefully we'll do some stuff with Parks and Rec this year. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Staff reports. Any other business? Any board members have? All right, we'll go to the appointments. Any appointments delegated by district? None.
Oh, no, I have.
Ms. Moore.
I move to appoint Paul Attila as District 2 representative to the Seniors Volunteer Hall of Fame Selection Committee to serve a 2-year term beginning January 13th, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2026.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Beth Agner as District 3 representative to the Seniors Volunteer Hall of Fame Selection Committee to serve a 2-year term beginning January 13th, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2026. I also move to appoint Connie Bennett as District 3 representative to the Wetlands Board, Chesapeake Bay Preservation Board, and the Dunes and Beaches Board to serve a 5-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2029.
Is that all? Ms. Watkins, will you call the roll on appointments delegated by districts?
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Next, appointments not delegated by district. Are there any?
I have one.
Ms. Pearson?
I move to appoint Jill Cruz as an at-large representative to the Seniors Volunteer Hall of Fame Selection Committee to serve a 2-year term beginning January 13th, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2026.
I see where Dora Turgan. Does anybody know what district she is? She wants to be reappointed to the Board of Road Viewers.
I think she lives in 5th District. She's requested to be reappointed. I don't know her, but I would love to move to reappoint her. as an at-large representative to the Board of Road Viewers to serve a 4-year term beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31, 2028.
Okay. Thanks. All right, is that, anybody else have any? If none, Ms. Watkins, will you poll the members of appointments not delegated by district?
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. Last are regional boards and commissions.
So, Mr. Chair, just a note on the last set of appointments. I have an opening for the youth member of the New Kent County Youth Community Service Committee. And if anyone, Ms. Turner, I'm looking at you back there, have any recommendations for that, I would be open to that. So if anybody knows any youth that would like to serve, please let me know.
Okay. All right, anybody have any, I think we have a couple appointments for regional boards and commissions.
Oh, we have to approve that one.
Oh, no. Yeah, we did. We already approved that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint Reverend Dr. Milton Hathaway as a New Kent Planning Commission's representative to the Plan RVA Regional Planning District Commission to serve a 1-year term beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025.
I'll move to appoint Matthew Baumler. No. No? Okay. Never mind.
No, he's in District 4, but we had a discussion before we got here, and he changed his mind. So, thank you, though.
All right. All right, Ms. Watkins, will you poll the members on the appointments of regional boards and commissions?
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
Aye. All right, that concludes our agenda this evening. We do have a closed session. So our next regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Supervisors will be held at 6 p.m. on Monday, March 10th, 2025. And the next work session will be held at 9 a.m. on Monday, February 24th, 2025, both here in the boardroom of the County Administration Building. Mr. Moore, you have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 for discussion of the performance of specific appointees of the public body, specifically the discussion of the county attorney's annual performance evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Ms. Watkins, will you poll the members?
Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
And Mr. Evelyn?
All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming out tonight. Drive home safe. Be safe tomorrow out in that weather. And see you next time.